Hey guys, ScannerDanner here without my son Caleb. I'm fighting a head cold. This is day 8 of this cold. So I sound a little nasally and I don't have my cameraman, so bear with me. I'm just trying to help my brother out. Caleb and I were supposed to be here a week ago to film this van. It's an 07 GM conversion van. And we just haven't been able to get here. Just kid's been sick and Caleb's kid's been sick, my granddaughter, and I've been sick, and I'm just trying to help out this customer, and I don't know if we'll even be able to get a full video out of this, but I'm gonna do my best, okay? So let me go inside the van and talk about what this thing's doing. Okay, first off, I need to talk about this customer. This is someone who follows me, found my brother. Look, they have my book. That's pretty freaking awesome. So someone that knows a little bit what they're doing. Here, I signed it for you, Mr. or Mrs. Customer. Thank you for that. Hopefully we'll be able to get some kind of a diagnosis for you. This thing has been to a few different, there's a shot of the inside, pretty cool conversion van. This has been through a few different garages from what I understand, and it continues to set random misfire codes. That's really kind of all I know at the moment. Let's scan this thing and get started. Oh, and to the customer, I know you'll be watching this, so I apologize for going through your stuff here, but I really needed this charger, which was buried under there, because I brought my top-down Phoenix with me today and it was completely dead, so I'm charging it while we're working. And then I want to add one more thing, because I found this in your car. This company and their commercials make me so angry, because every time they advertise this little fixed Bluetooth device, all they do is throw mechanics under the bus like we're some kind of rip-off artists. And so I hate this company, just saying. While it's good to know what codes you have in your system, you can't change parts based on a trouble code in most circumstances. And this company and the way they do their advertising, it's just false advertising, and I hate it. All right, so the customer left me a slip here, Caroline, thank you, of what was going on. So this has been going on for a long time, it looks like. 222 update says P0300 steady MIL since 11/20 of 20. So a long time. Now occasional steady MIL code 300 and 336, crank and cam mismatch. O2 sensor in 17, crank failure 820. They report signals erratic even after they replaced. Relearned. So 3 months later, it doesn't look like very much more mileage. Steady code 300, now 455 evap leak, so I'm not worried about the evap leak. The mechanic says air fuel ratios are off, but no MAF code. Replaced the MAF. Clean throttle body, replaced points. There's no points on this. Plug wires, coil packs, injector service, tune-up. Okay. So we have 55,000 miles, by the way. So this started in, so this is not driven much, which can be an issue. You know, how old's the gas that's in this thing? Those kind of questions. But in 8/20 of 20, you had 51,000 miles. I'm talking to the customer now, I guess, because she watches. So 51.9, and we're at 55.1. That's not very many miles. So like 3,000 miles over a 3-year period for where we are now. 53.7, O2 erratic. Now we're doing something with the crank sensor again. 54.049, relearn and crank. Second time they noted misfire became more prevalent after relearn. Suspect timing chain out of place. It's too complicated for them to fix. 54.3, so this is only maybe 7 months ago. Diagnosed failed crank sensor again. Cleaned and dielectric ECU grounds, but did not check signal voltages to cam and crank. 300 went away, went out for 2 months. Okay. Miller's cleaned and checked ECU grounds and wires, found first shop, put Chinese non-OEM crank sensor. OEM crank position sensor was replaced with AC Delco. Good job, Miller's. That's what I would have done too. And they also cleaned ECU ground, checked wires, etc. about 2 weeks. Okay, so 9/21. ML came back on. Fixed was showing, that's that, I hate that thing. Fixed was showing same as before, 300 random miss. This time ML steady but turned to flashing at highway speeds. Okay. Found this flashing ML after 40 miles of driving at 65, going up Cranberry. Blinking, right. Blinking check engine light is a catalyst damaging misfire, by the way, but she says I had no engine symptoms, no loss of power, no rough idle, no knock, no shaking, nothing but intermittent 300 steady and flashing. Yeah, that's a problem. I stopped at the roadside, let the engine cool off, lights went out, 15 minutes driving, hot engine over 2, going up a hill, 60, occasional blinking. Yeah, so if you're not feeling any misfires and it's blinking, we're right in this same area of what people have been chasing. This stuff isn't really important as far as when and how. It's doing something it should not be doing. This is good info here, though. Caroline, thank you for that. Test drive, 10.7 Miller suggested to drive. Get the 300 code showing the dash so they can live data. Drove for 2 hours at 70. Van refused to show any codes. This is going to make this one really, really difficult. I'm probably not going to be able to find this for you today. Yeah, 2 hours of driving and no fault. And you're not feeling misfires either. All right, so looks like steady DTC. Scanner recorded some. Long-term trim at 9.8. That's not high. Plus and minus 10% is considered normal. Yeah, the steady 300 codes back. Let's see, freeze frame live data, light back on, only code, and now flashes when van's climbing steep hills, steep hill at speeds more than 60. So the problem with where we are in Bethel Park, I can't drive this anywhere to get those kind of speeds. We can't, it's just not possible. I mean, not without like an hour test drive, which, you know, I'm not gonna do. Went to Bowser replaced cam sensor, though no crank position code was showing, nor CPS is crank position, or CKP should be crank position. So there's abbreviations here, I'm not sure. Maybe that's the cam. She's saying that's cam position. So abbreviation CMP is cam position sensor, CKP is crank position sensor, just an FYI for future. Browser relearned both second crank and new cams. Light stayed on. Code 336 came on. Bowser claims the only fixes are timing chain replacement at 1500, 1000 to replace all O2s, possible new ECM, possible new converter. They're not wrong in what they're telling you. I mean, you're having an intermittent problem, and the stuff that they're listing here are possibilities. And when you're dealing with intermittence, no one wants to attack these because it takes time, and time that technicians don't have. I mean, just to give you an idea, you know, this is a typical garage that does good work, right? Look at all these cars. This is my brother's shop, and both sides completely filled. He's got probably 10 to 15 cars that are waiting to come in the door. And this is pretty typical of any repair facility, that you have a car that you're driving for 2 hours and it doesn't act up, then this is what you're gonna get, is a write-up like this. I mean, they're probably not wrong in what they're saying. They just kind of covered all their bases and are giving you a quote on worst case scenario. Browser didn't want to look at your freeze frame. Mechanic who did work isn't the person you could talk to. Tech advisor is. I asked if he checked the reluctor. Tech said, I'm sure he did. Highly unlikely. Yeah, I mean, I get all that, but like, I'm not going to crawl underneath and look at this crank reluctor if I can't make this thing do it. It's difficult enough to do what we do when it comes to intermittent problems. These can be really, really, really difficult. Chevy dealer says flowchart from GM, their computer tell what needed repairs. That's how they know the next repair. Yeah, I mean, again, it has to do with the amount of work they're doing and dealing with an intermittent problem. And this is what you have. It's unfortunate for the customer, for you, Caroline, that this is what you're dealing with, but this is the field. It's the way it works. So Miller's cleaned, checked, right. Non-OEM sensor. Cleaned ECU ground. Yeah, see, I think that's significant, the fact that it stayed off for 2 weeks. But I thought you said back in, it said 2 months it came off. Yeah, this you could make the steady MIL go off by letting up on the gas while climbing, letting off the gas completely on a flat road, letting off the gas from 65. This is good information here. Throttle body. So like right away, like I'm concerned about like a fuel pressure delivery problem. The fact that you're letting off the throttle and the lights going out, hit the gas, maintaining, going uphill, it comes on. 300 does not come on at startup, does not come on at low RPMs or during city driving at 5 to 25 or on short trips less than 30 minutes. So right there is your issue with any garage you take it to, including me. I have to drive this for longer than 30 minutes. I need to hit 65 miles per hour, and I can't do that. It's physically not possible in the Bethel Park area to be able to do that. And so, you know, this is a lesson to the customer and to everyone else is, are you willing to pay a garage rate of $120 an hour for diagnostic work to just drive your car? And if you're willing to, then what you need to do in a case like this is, you know, talk to the garage owner and be willing to say, yeah, I'm willing to pay you, say, $500 to drive my car, and that's just a starting point, and that's no promises. And maybe the garage would be then willing to go out on a 1 to 2 hour test drive, knowing he's going to get, you know, some money for sure for his time when he's got all these other cars sitting here. And then what it also would require is that, you know, trust in the mechanic you take it to, that he's going to do that and not just charge you and take your money. But you also need to understand that you might take it to a trustworthy mechanic like me and my brother, and we give it back to you and say, we haven't found a problem, but now you don't want to pay. And this is the way the customers go. They don't want to pay because nothing was diagnosed and you didn't do anything, but that's not true. Like if we're spending hours trying to duplicate a fault and we're putting aside all these other cars and we're not doing anything with them, we need to be paid. We don't work for free. And this is a really, really bad misconception that's in the field. And it was brought on, this perfect example, it was brought on in part by companies like this. False advertising. Clearly, you can't change a part, in this case, based on a trouble code, can you? Oh, that's a rant tort fixed. But this is the bane of our existence in this field is right here, this paragraph right here. It never has any symptoms of rough start, knock, bad idle, loss of power, or engine vibration. So with that statement, I'd mentioned fuel up here, and I'm no longer thinking about fuel because of that statement. And the fact that the grounds fixed it when you cleaned it sounded like a grounding computer type issue. Miller suggested drive, get the 300 code showing on the dash, drive it to them with the van hot while it was throwing the code so they could get the live data. And you drove it for 2 hours up and down Route 28. Van refused to show any codes. Drove up Parkway to Monroeville, going up Greensburg Pike, steady 300. Yeah, again, long terms, I'm not worried about. A 9.8 on the long term is totally fine. MAF not reading properly at high RPMs, replaced it. Throttle body cleaned, all that's maintenance stuff. Throttle body cleaned, so it really didn't go off. This is between this event here, where you changed the MAF, cleaned the throttle body. The blinking went off, but not really. It came back, 6 months later, but it was only like 200 miles later. So we never fixed it. Blinking relearn, crank for the second time, crank for the third time, didn't fix it. Not faulting any of these garages here. Not. So what do we do in this field? This in itself can be the video, and I know that that's not what this customer wants to hear, and especially because they follow me and they bought my book, and I really appreciate that. I'm going to do what I can as far as looking at data, but I'm honestly not equipped today. I'm again fighting a head cold, and I'm here without my son. I only brought my one scan tool, and you know, in a case like this, how do we proceed? So I'm moving away from maybe talking to you, Caroline, and really talking to everyone. How do we proceed? What do we do? How much time do we spend? Of course, there's a service agreement between Caroline and my brother, and I'm sure my brother's not even going to charge her if we're not doing anything, so there really is no aspect there. But to most garages, you're going in, you're paying for an initial hour of diagnostic time, and it's important that the garage communicates with the customer that we're going to tell you what's not wrong with your car in this 1 hour, and then we'll proceed from there. We can't promise a diagnosis in an hour. And I've said this oftentimes with experience, that it takes me either 20 minutes to fix something or identify a problem, or it's 4 hours. And there's really no in between. It's 20 minutes or it's 4 hours. If I'm taking this car, if I got 5 other cars I have to look at today, and I have a random misfire code that's been happening for 2+ years, over 4,000 miles, and no one's been able to fix it, and the customer says I drove it for 2 hours and it never acted up, what am I going to do as a technician? I'm just going to take it for a quick drive. I'm going to look at some data, make some suggestions, and move on to the next car. And unfortunately, that's where we are. For me, I'm just not equipped. I don't have any of my scopes with me today. I just have this scan tool, and identifying, you know, faulty ECU grounds and things like that would involve connecting a lab scope up to this, and it's just not going to happen for me today. So conversion van with bad grounds, very possible. Let's look at some data now, briefly see what I see, and then we might just wrap this up with a great conversation to follow in the comments right here. So Caroline, if this is all you get out of me today, I'm not saying that we won't take another shot at it, but today's not going to be the day, and you can follow the comments underneath. To the rest of you guys, my technician friends, don't throw this customer under the bus. She's been fighting this problem for a really long time. She's super frustrated. I get it. To the rest of you guys too, with the other garages and the customers, don't be so quick to throw the garages under the bus, because they're doing the best they can. When it comes to stuff like this, these are the worst ones. It's not doing it. It's throwing random codes. What part do you want to change next? That's kind of what the one dealer told this customer, and I don't fault them for that at all. Let's see what we see. Look forward to the comments in this one for sure. Underneath, everybody be nice to each other. Let's try to make this change. Let's bring an awareness to the customers on what it takes to do this stuff. Let's bring an awareness to the technicians to stop throwing each other under the bus. We're all in this together, okay? Let's improve it. Let's make it happen. Let's make it so the technician can get paid when he's on that 2-hour test drive. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, you need to pay that technician. If the garage rate's $120 an hour, then you need to agree to $240 up front in a case like this, where you know that technician needs to drive that car for X amount of time to make it happen. You need to pay for it. Technicians should not work for free. All right, 2007 GM. Let's go diagnostics. I did do a cranking compression test off camera. While that's loading, I was gonna say I could do it now, but I don't want to shut the key off. It sounded good. I don't like that we're having a crank position sensor performance code. That 336 definitely bothers me. Okay, let's see what kind of freeze frame data we have. We're gonna go to the engine computer and special functions. So we have a relearn there. Clearly that's not fixing things. I will add to the customer that I'm not worried about you driving this. You're having a random misfire and crank position sensor faults that you have 0 symptoms for. And so the one garage suggesting maybe needing catalytic converters is accurate, in that when you have misfires melt cats down. But based on your symptoms, you don't have any misfires, and these are false codes. We got to find out why. Maybe we shouldn't call them false yet, but I have no problem with you driving this with this problem. Even the check engine light flashing at you, as long as you're not feeling any drivability concerns. And then you have scan data, look at your fuel trims, 9.8% is not a problem. I'd be interested to know what your fuel trims look like while the check engine light's flashing at you. That would be helpful. And if they're not really changing, then that means that we definitely don't have a misfire and we got some kind of input issue here, whether computer wiring, sensor. But my point is, I think you can drive it. And as I'm thinking out loud and talking to you, Caroline, the customer, this would be helpful to us, is next time you get this to do it, is to pull up and record it on your phone, even, or have someone help you. Pull up your short-term and long-term fuel trim on both banks for us, and let me see those numbers during the misfire. During the time the check engine light's flashing at you, get me those fuel trim numbers. I'll see if I can get freeze frame data on this. Maybe that will help, but that would help from you for sure. All right, sweet. Freeze frame for the 336. So 186, engine load 73%, 3,200 RPM. See, the long terms look good. The short terms look good too. They're at 0 though. That's kind of strange that they'd be at 0. You were doing 42 miles an hour. Oh, you're in open loop. Why would we be in open loop? Maybe it forces an open loop condition. So if we're in open loop, I can't really use my trim data. That's why the short terms are at 0. Long terms look okay. Let's look at the freeze frame for the 300. So 194, 60% load, 2,000. Long terms still look good at 4%. In the one you said 9% was okay too. We're in closed loop on this one. And short terms look great. Vehicle speed 20 miles per hour. Yeah, man. So what I asked you for, Caroline, and getting us that info is probably not going to help us. These numbers look fine. There's nothing wrong with these numbers. So data stream isn't helping me. I'm sorry. Freeze frame data isn't really helping me identify this problem. We have a 336 and 300 code that's setting, really a bulletin search would be helpful too, to see if there's a common problem on this. It would help me to kind of cheat this a little bit. I'm really kind of about done with what I can do with this scan tool as far as identifying this fault. Me doing a crank relearn is not going to help, right? That's been done how many times? I mean, I could do it again just to say we did it. Let's see, accelerate to wide open, release throttle when fuel cut occurs, pressing OK. I'm just going to do it for you. Let me turn the AC off, because I'm going to be giving this back to you. I don't think this is going to fix it, but let's see. Engine should not accelerate beyond calibrated RPM. Release throttle immediately if value is exceeded. Got it. Block wheel, set park and brake. Cycle ignition from off to on. Pressing OK. Apply and hold the brake. Start the engine, let it idle. Right, AC is off, we already did that. Parker neutral, good. Accelerate to wide open, release when cutoff is achieved. That wasn't right. Do that again. Why does it keep having me do it?
It doesn't sound that smooth.
It doesn't. And I'm doing this crank relearn and it's not letting me get past that. I'm not going to keep snapping it like that. When I revved it, it definitely felt like she says in all of her texts. Let me do this one more time.
Why is it? Yeah, it's like.
Is it because it's in this mode? Okay, I'm gonna end this session. It's not letting me end this, hold on. All right, I'm gonna rev this outside of that mode. Yeah, definitely. You smell it too.
It's.
I wanna see, not. She said, in all of this stuff that I'm looking at, Danner, she says that, He's not smoking that cigar. I've been talking to Caroline already. I read her whole thing, and she's not going to be happy with some of the stuff I said.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't say anything bad. She's not doing anything wrong. She's frustrated, but it's not the mechanic's fault either. This is, like, if you read all the stuff that was going on with this, I don't fault the technicians at all.
No.
Although, after just revving this, something's wrong.
And she's telling me
right there, like that's a hard misfire.
Yeah, but that's what she's telling me when she's climbing hills, is whenever it'll set the 300.
Yeah, but I just checked freeze frame and it was good. Let's see.
Did you have any codes?
Yeah, 336 and 300. 336 crank variation or erratic, crank signal erratic.
And is that why they were telling her she needed a timing chain potentially?
Well, they're only saying timing chain because
everything's been done.
Well, and if you read her description, she's driving for 2 hours before it does it. So which garage with a full lot's going to drive the car for 2 hours? None of them.
That's why it's been sitting here for a week and a half.
Yep.
Just because she was telling me how she's getting it to happen.
Yep. All right, hold on 1 second.
This is kind of neat. It's set up like a camper.
But dude, I definitely felt. That felt like a miss, didn't it? Let me do a brake torque on that.
I don't think the RPMs are going up high enough on the brake torque.
I almost want to do a fuel pressure measurement. That's why I want to see what the O2s look like during that rev. So heated O2, the blue and the purple are the upstreams. Let's see what they do.
And did you see the part where her husband's foot got stuck on the throttle and held it, over-revved it for a pretty long period of time?
No.
Back, like...
Why did he do that?
His foot got stuck under the brake pedal.
It has a rev limiter, so...
Yeah. I mean, that wouldn't be the rev.
That's dropping lean. All the O2s are dropping lean. I just want to do a fuel pressure measurement.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, remember we had that 6 liter.
Let's check fuel pressure.
That Tahoe or whatever. You know what I mean?
Can we go for a quick ride and watch these O2s?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm interested in a first gear
climbing a hill,
wide open throttle run. Yeah, absolutely. And based on the symptoms, that's the only time it does it. But she said there's no symptoms. Like, it never misses, it's never rough, it's never anything. So, like...
Yeah, but if it's doing that, I mean, that doesn't sound right.
No, I know. It should have symptoms. No. How's my filming, Caleb? I just dropped it. So the two flat lines there you guys are looking at on the screen are the downstreams. The blue and the purple are the upstreams. And it looked to me like they dropped lean whenever I did the snap throttle test. Okay.
Ready?
Yeah. Rich, lean.
It's missing right there.
Yeah, it's a bad miss.
What the hell is that?
It's a real bad miss.
Starving for fuel.
Yeah, I agree. This is a fuel pump issue all day long. All right. So, rant over.
Maybe I should have drove it.
Rant over. I mean, honestly, the rant that I just applied to this was relevant.
Okay.
Just because when a customer says no symptoms, you tend to believe.
I mean, they might not drive it at wide open throttle either.
There's major symptoms here. Yeah, major.
Yeah. Like just normal
all right,
driving.
Don't talk for a second. Let's do it. Go ahead. Hit it.
Wow, dude. Yeah. It just feels like it's starving for fuel.
I mean, and
Did you go lean?
The O2s went lean, yeah. I mean, but they were, because it comes and goes.
Yeah, it's gonna change.
It's gonna change, but they were definitely lean. Not the starving of fuel that I would expect to see, but I'm using a different scan tool too. It's very possible that it's... Oh, this is a coil and plug engine, right? It's not the distributor engine.
Well, it has coils and little teeny wires.
Yeah. All right. No, this is definitely able to be duplicated on a wide open throttle, and that changes things tremendously, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So everything that I said previous still applies as far as direction and troubleshooting and all of that. If you can't duplicate it, you're not going to fix it. The fact that we can duplicate this problem on just a wide open throttle pull means, guess what? Caroline, we're going to have an answer for you today.
Well, I mean, unless you don't have your fuel pressure gauge, because mine
don't.
leaks.
I didn't bring anything. I brought my sick ass. Now, Caroline, I'm not getting your van contaminated. I'm on like day 9 of this cold, but I'm in my wife's car, and I didn't bring anything with me. Just my one scan tool is all I brought. So we're relying on your leaky ass fuel pressure gauge. Some quick fuel pressure measurements for sure, man. I'm interested in my engine load. I just want to make sure we're hitting 100% load or close to it, because that helps guide you on a dirty math.
Gotcha.
Use the load PID.
Is it use the math for that?
Yeah,
for
primarily.
That
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 97% engine load.
Oh, this thing runs like crap.
Yeah, it does. So I'm not worried about a math issue. I am worried about these O2s. Can you come to a stop one more time and then do that again? Upstream O2s, go ahead. Lean, lean, lean. On bank 2 in particular was real lean the whole time, the orange one.
Okay.
So if it's not fuel related, then we're gonna attack bank 2 first. You know, it could also be something with the crank sensor signal that's dropping out, and the codes we're getting are legit.
Can you look at, what's the...
No, I need a scope for that. I'm gonna have to come back and we'll have to follow this up.
Okay.
Or we could use your Vantage for that. Dude, give me a one more time. I'm headed to the floor right now.
Okay.
Just right there, yeah.
I don't want to blow it up.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think that's fuel, man.
No?
No, I mean, normally the O2, if this is fuel related, those O2s would drop immediately,
Wow.
lean both banks.
Gotcha.
The whole time. I'm not seeing that.
Okay.
That time it didn't go lean at all. Let's do the check anyway, and let's get it in, see what we see. All right, no desktop recording for this one, Caleb. Sorry, but I just wanted to see what these O2s look like again. We have a little bit of a data processing issue, I believe, but watch this at wide open. Full lean the whole time.
Hey, that's making me nervous.
Full lean the whole time. That was my stomach.
Are you sure about that?
I have to poop.
Oh. I mean, might be a thing. Might be a toilet in here.
I'm not gonna poop in the customer's van.
We'll give her a discount.
Okay, let's go.